Hello, it is your girl, Buddha in the Crucible, coming at you from Las Vegas, Sin City. How are you? How are you doing? What about that? How about that? Let's talk about that. You know, I'm always telling you the weather, and it's still Las Vegas, and your girl's doing this and that. But what about you? How are you doing? So today, I want to talk to you guys about something that I don't want to call it a rant. It's more just like watching somebody, and it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna act like I know your problem better than you do, but I'm gonna put something out there or things out there that is just like for your consideration. Or like one of my favorite guys, Rod Serling, says, submitted for your approval. Although even if you don't approve it, like I will still continue to talk. Sexy. So anyway, I want to talk about why okay, there are women out here that are great, that are so great. I've mentioned in previous videos, I think I touched on it in wifey material, kind of there are these women out here who really do just, they really do just want somebody to take care of. They want to love and nurture and on and on and on and on. And sometimes some of my friends have come to me and they can't understand, like, they're in their case, like maybe they're making their objective clear, that they want a relationship, or they're fond of this person, or they kind of want to progress with how they are, that for them, longer story short, like intimacy means something to them, like they feel like every time this person is I guess like agreeing to have sex with them, that is like further validation that it's that with the sexual consistency comes, like eventually this person is going to want a relationship. And I suppose it's not gender exclusive. These are just human behaviors, not necessarily gender exclusive. But I'm talking about, different women that, yes, even as the single hater best friend, right, they have at least asked me what I thought about certain situations. So I want you to consider this. I'm not telling you how it is. I don't know your situation, etc. But I'm asking you to consider this. Whether you like it or not, women are technically the ones who bring both men and women into this world. It's a woman. It's got to be lady parts. As far as like transgender and all that kind of stuff. Not trying to trivialize your journey. I'm just talking about women being able to give birth to even people who feel like they are really a man in a woman's body, or vice versa. Either way, no matter what your gender association or belief, like a gender caste system, whatever you believe. Even if you hate women, you could be a woman hating woman, a man hating women, no matter how much you hate women or think they're stupid or whatever, you still came out of a woman, and right, it's very likely that you as a man are going to expect a woman to crank out, a child or two for you. It's possible, conceivable, haha. But anyway, my point is that being said, that being established as just simply a biological, just a concept that it only women give birth to humans. That being said, right, like so we like with that in mind, consider women as part of the source, or crudely put, picture an outlet on the wall. You got your regular outlet. Your outlet, right, it's plugged into the wall. Some wires go to the power line and etc. Not necessarily not the source, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, but women are just like the outlet on the wall. Again, forgive the crude analogy, but to me, this analogy kind of works for me, so I'm going to just stick with me here. So anyway, if women are, for example, the outlet on the wall, and then even in mechanics, like they have a male and female plug, not even just necessarily for cars, but just any kind of connectors. They consider like a male plug and a female plug, for somewhat obvious reasons, that a male end or male part is going to have a protruding something or other, and a female part is going to have something you can put in. So that being said, okay, women are the outlet on the wall, and right, like men are who plugs in to charge. In other words, like so why am I saying any of this? Because what I'm trying to tell you is that when men plug into the wall, let's say it's your phone charger, okay? Like, let's say men are the phone charger, right? Like, they are part of the means. Like, between the wall outlet and the phone charger cord, you get a charged phone, but without one or the other, you will not have a working phone, right? So, and for this analogy, the phone is the baby. I probably should have talked this through. Like, I probably should have went over this before I sat down with you guys, but stay with me. So anyway, when you allow, okay, so the phone charger cord is a means to draw the power out of the outlet, but ultimately it needs the outlet to be useful. It needs to be able to have this medium to charge. So that being said, when you choose to have sex with somebody, and it's not necessarily gender exclusive, but for the sake of what was consistent about what these different friends were telling me, is that, right, like you're allowing somebody to use you like an outlet on the wall to recharge. The reason, well, at least I subscribe to a belief that men need, for some reason, right, like that's as far as I care to study. For some reason, like they get like a really, like, for some reason they make sexual energy like their main staple of like how to go on. So it's like, for them, it's still so much more carnally driven, I guess I want to say. So when you allow somebody, okay, so like that's like that friend that just like the friend that comes over and always want to plug their phone charger into your outlet, because they know that they can. So how is it different that when this person comes around, he knows that he can plug in, again, forgive these crude expressions, but it's effective to me to explain that when you're allowing random people to use the outlet in the wall, if you will, then right, like you're gonna notice that they come frequently. Sure, right, because you're letting them charge their phone. Why wouldn't they? Sure, yeah, they'll come over and they feel like it's not really mooching, because they'll talk to you, parlay for a little bit, drink whatever, drink, eat the food you made, all this kind of stuff. So in other words, they feel like in exchange for you allowing them to hit that, they're doing you a service, like a hired boyfriend. You and before you come for me, if you haven't already been triggered by the stuff I was saying, comparing a vagina to a wall outlet and a penis to a phone cord charger, right? If you're not already, all frazzled by that, right, consider also that there are people, not just men, but for the sake of these stories, these guys were coming over and feeling justified about using these women for resources, whether they were a girlfriend experience, or sex, or food, or somebody just just gassing their head up, you know, everything but the title. And then we'll string these women along and let you know, let them do whatever. And then right, and then these women do. And it's so sad to watch, because then they end up going crazy, and then the guy, listen, let me tell you something else about being that crazy bitch, okay? Men literally use your story with them to get more, I was about to say the P word, to get more tail. Not like, that's not like a more eloquent word. Anyway, right, like they will literally go around saying like, oh yeah, you know, I want to open up, but the last girl that I loved turned out to be crazy, and she's still stalking me today, and you know, it's just so scary and everything, and woe is me, and girls are so crazy, and I'm so sad. Like, never mind, like whatever he did to, and I'm not saying that it is always that way either, but you, for the male side of it that are listening, that are taking any heed to this whatsoever, when you know that you don't like somebody the way they like you, and you continue to have sex with them, right, it's like signing the lease on an apartment. Like, whether you're going to be there or not, you keep signing up for this. Like, for the person you're screwing, that's how they're taking it. So then when people finally do snap out and go crazy, the other person looks scot-free, like, what? How come? You know, but the reason I'm pointing this out, you know, maybe that's your hustle. I can't be mad at you. All I can do is just see people like that and keep it moving. But as far as why I'm pointing it out, I'm saying that people, yes, everyone has like this crazy hardware, if you will, inside. Whether or not, some people it gets activated very easily, some people it takes a whole lot more. Either way, for the women that do choose to be these, you know, proud, crazy women, you know, that you're so proud of yourself because you're making this man's life hell, he's literally using your attention to bait other women, and they're gonna fall for it too. You know, that's what's sad, is like, he's gonna peddle this story of having a crazy girlfriend, and he didn't do anything, and he doesn't know, all he ever did was love her, you know, like, oh, this, I told her I didn't want like an exclusive relationship, but you know, she, like, listen, don't come for me. Like, if you're a dude that runs that sort of script, I'm trying to tell you, I'm not mad at you. I'm trying to say that the women who buy into this end up being women scorned, because, right, like, it, and it's not one-sided, you know. Unfortunately, it's a case of somebody preying on the emotional fragility and clinginess of somebody else, and that same clingy person thinks that because they're putting up with this person's BS, that eventually they are going to be obligated to spend time and finally be this person's boyfriend. And it's just, you know, it's tragic. And even if you're like, it's not a gender exclusive tragedy, it's tragic no matter who's taking advantage and who's clinging. It's just in a twisted way, they are almost like meant for each other. But I just want to reiterate, ladies, that, you know, it's obviously always going to be your choice to be that crazy bee, you know, and be so proud of what you did in revenge, kind of, or you're like stalking this person, or like you're like clocking their social media. Oh my gosh, girls. Maybe it's easy for me to say because I never had sex with anybody that made me that, like, I told you about my one, you know, person, but other than that, like, I don't want, like, I don't want to know what it's just, and that's why it's funny to me that different women have asked me about this, but I guess because they noticed that I was immune. Like, I saw no I got nothing out of stalking my ex's social medias and stuff like that. And they kind of were like, they were kind of throwing shade on me, like, oh, you don't care, like, what so and so is doing, like, as if that was like how I was supposed to act. And I was like, why? Why do you need to care what? I mean, look, I understand if you have joint stuff and, like, paperwork, even, or like y'all are married or whatever, I'm not saying there's never a reason, a pet, a child, real estate. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, right, like, literally somebody that you dated, you or him or Sully or whatever, for whatever reason you stopped talking, and now you're like clocking this person's social media. For what? For what though? Like, if there's absolutely nothing to be gained, for what? If you're not planning on having a civil relationship with this person, why do you need to check on what they're doing? And I know, I acknowledge that maybe I need to check myself, that I need to have well, if I'm not doing it, well, I have an opinion about it. I'm saying that please know that if you are peddling some proud banner of craziness and clinginess, and what you're gonna do if so and so does this and acting crazy, he's totally just gonna turn around and use your story to pull more bees at the bar. Like, he's gonna go out and get more women on your story. So I'm just wondering, is that strategy always effective? Now, I've heard some really crazy stories about women getting revenge after finding out that they were cheated on and things like that. My only thing is, again, not justifying deplorable behavior, but at the same time, consider this: what kind of man that allows you to be up their ass in a way that, I mean, like acting like you need to check their phone, or where they're going to be, who are you with, why are you doing that, like being a mommy, basically. You're being over attentive and clingy. What kind of man is, I don't want to say, like, what kind of man's going to put up with that? I'm saying it like, really think about what type of man is going to go along with that. Basically somebody acting like his mom. Right. Well, just like with women who get with, men that for whatever reason, like, not attracted, they normally wouldn't be attracted to them, but there's financial security. Similarly for guys, right? The reason that he's putting up with your emotional craziness is because he knows you're going to buy him those shoes, you're going to take him here, you're going to do this, you're going to pay for that, you're going to move him in, you're going to, do your stuff. He knows that you're gonna do all of that, and all he has to do is, like, kind of just say what you want to hear. So I would say, again, like, I know I just sound like a hater, but a couple of things, like, I don't want to say, like, if it's too good to be true, it is, but just think about, if you need to have a man that you can micromanage, like, if you're noticing that you are able to micromanage this male and be up his butt and have him, like, need to check in and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, just know it's human nature to compensate when something is out of balance. So he gonna, like, nod in your face and say what he needs to say, and then he's gonna go to the bar and tell women, oh yeah, I want to be a good guy, but I have this crazy woman and she won't leave me alone, and I told her it's not exclusive, and yada 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 yada. And then these women are going to rally to his rescue. And he's literally just telling your story, using it to pull more women. And then he's gonna, when and if he gets caught, and you're, because you're not going to let him go, So right now you're trying to hold him accountable, and what's he gonna do? What's he gonna say is like turn the story around and say, oh no, I told them that I had somebody, and they just like wouldn't leave it alone. Right, what he's not telling you is that he told these girls you were crazy and that he needed to be rescued. And now they're like, right, strolling up, they taking out their cooking and dick sucking skills and all kinds of stuff because they're gonna save your man because he painted a picture that he is in distress. So these women are like, you're like, I'm gonna get him because he's a good guy. Probably like he peddled me all this stuff, and now like I'm gonna save him from his overbearing girlfriend. Meanwhile, he has no intentions. Right? Like I guess the good news is he's ultimately not gonna leave because he can't. Oh, like finally, you know. Usually men like that they get addicted to the lifestyle. Like it's again like these problems aren't gender exclusive, okay? Just like women get stuck married to somebody maybe they wouldn't normally marry, or that person knows like treats them like trash because they know that they are dependent on them financially. Well, similarly, guys can get rooted in the lifestyle too. If she's paying for the lineups and the Jordans and the I don't know what do you guys like these days? Like whatever's popular stuff, if she's taking care of all that, even guys who have a job, but they know this girl is gonna do for them and it rides hard in that way. I would say, ladies, just know they're peddling you're crazy to get more girls, and the guys who do it, is it? I really wish you guys could do right by these women, honestly, because you know that they love you. Like that's what's sad. You know that they love you so hard. Like go home. She's trying to, these women post about being on diets. They're doing this, they're doing that, anything you want. They're trying so hard, and all they want is to be validated by, like, is just be able to say they have a boyfriend. Like they want it so badly, more than anything, and y'all just string these girls along, and I'm like, I mean. And I've said this in a couple posts before that, there is good news. Like eventually your dude is gonna, when he just literally can't run around anymore, he gonna come home to you, girl. Like there's no, and he needs the care. Finally he's so crippled and broken and washed up kind of for whatever reason. Midlife crisis, you're just so old, he's not attractive anymore, he never was, his money changed, whatever. He gonna come home to you, but right, it's gonna be like 20 years later, and like a shell, kind of. I don't know. To me, like that's not fair. If you know what you're getting into, and again, not gender exclusive. I'm not saying women never take advantage of men. So a couple ugly stories about that in the feed. So I want to acknowledge you. If you're a male that was strong enough to get through this episode, then objectively, then I commend you. Hashtag not all men and all that whininess. The reason that like people aren't feeling not all men, the ones that do, is that like you're more hype about defending saying not all men. Like suddenly it's important not to credit you with the infamy, but we just can't help but notice how many men stand by indifferently while their male colleagues do this or that or act in trifling or like to me indifference is endorsement ultimately. That's why I kind of act a little but you guys know I got a chip on my shoulder when it comes to stuff like that anyway. So I wanted to tell you guys real quick about an example of what I just went on and on about, and then we'll wrap it up. When I was, again, this goes back to my mechanic days, I was going to school, and I met someone just like in the car circles, whatever, and we were just friends because he was married. And he's a young guy, but like, you know, they were still married, like married his high school sweetheart, this kind of thing. And you know, I was who I was. This is back in the mean girl days, so you know, your girl was, you know, rude most, like, whenever I could be. And he ended up taking a liking to me. um, but again, we're acknowledging that he's married. I said, I don't even know why. I don't even know why you would bring up something like that, because like, we were friends and we were getting along as friends pretty well. And then I guess conversationally he said something, and I was like, huh, like, basically I just kind of like go home, because it was again like a green light to be rude. How dare you try to, like, you know, get at me on the side. And I know it's your first time trying it, because he was like, again, this is why you don't judge a book by its cover, because this was somebody that was, you know, Johnny Good Guy, wanted to be upstanding and help people and all this kind of stuff, you know, hardcore Christian all day long. And right here he had this wife at home trying to do whatever the Bible told her, you know, that God said women should do. She's like on her good girl stuff, never been with any other man, married him right out of high school, the whole business. And what's he doing? Trying to talk to the local mean girl. Um, and I was, again, like, we had a great friendship, which, you know, I guess, like, to me, it's just, it had to have already been on your mind, kind of thing. That you, if not with me, with someone, that you starting to be curious. In fact, that was kind of what had led the conversation sideways, is that he was telling me that he had only been with this girl. And I think I was kind of like laughing, like, and how's that working out for you, you know, Bible boy. And yes, I was not nice. And he was like, oh, you know, well, sometimes I just wonder. And then that's when he said, like, oh, and I wonder about, like, you, for example. And I was like, oh, really? I said, well, that's cute. Good thing you're just like a boring person who already married. You're gonna have a boring life, and you're okay with that, right? Like, that's you, you know. And he's like, oh, well, you know, I was just thinking that, you know, whatever, like, if something were to happen, you know, like, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. I said, I don't know, you're the one that goes to church every week, so, you know, you square it up with God and let me know, I guess. Like, I don't, what you, oh, you want me to convince you? You want me to be the one to, like, give you that little final push, like, just, oh God, yes, you know, please cheat on your wife with me, please. Um, again, like, it's not my job to mind your marriage. Please get with it. You know, you signed that paper. I wasn't even there. You know, so you let me know. I mean, it's your wife, it's your marriage, it's your life. I'm single, free, and clear. So after, like, a whole bunch of, like, back and forth, and I think he was just kind of in love with the tension, because again, like, he kind of was Smallsville mentality. He hadn't been anywhere. He hadn't done anything except get married and go to go to school. So eventually, he started to kind of, like, when we were out and about, just in the neighborhood or whatever, he started to kind of act like he was with me. You know, like, just. How do you? Well, you know what I mean. That his body language and stuff. Like, when we were out around, you know, he kind of would be like on my stuff, like next to me all the time, or like when he'd say, you know, I'm going to the to get something to eat. You know, why don't you come or whatever? You know, I'd be on lunch too, so whatever. And you know, we kind of just went on like this. So one day he finally tells me, like, so, like, if you're gonna be my girlfriend, then we should talk. And I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean, married man? And he's like, oh, well, I talked to my wife and I told her that I had fallen in love with someone. You did what? I said, and what did she say? And he was like, she told me that, she sought God in counsel, and I'm sorry, y'all. She sought counsel, and, she said that I should, that, if she sets me free, that I'm sure to come back. Like, I should go out and meet, and, if I want to see this through, then I should, so that I will realize that my love was always at home. So even right, so this is the one time, 2 times, 3 times. Sorry, this is like one of 3 different times in my life that me trying to dissuade a male's advances by saying, go home and get a permission slip from your wife. This is one of like 3 instances where these MFs came back like ready to call their wives or ready to vouch or whatever, like these, or showing me something that pretty much was decent proof that this woman didn't want to lose her man so badly that she yo-yoed him out. He's like he's telling me, like, I told her, I'm in love with someone, and oh well. I said, I really wish you had kind of like talked to me about some of this before you decided to go rogue in your marriage for something that we haven't even, gone there. And he's like, no, I know, I made up my mind. And, she told me I should, if I'm having these urges, I should explore them, and that, God will bring me back to her. So and I thought about it, and I needed to know for myself too. So, right. So you, I love you. And, he was basically, I can't quote, this was like a long time ago, but he basically was saying, like, I needed to be on board. Like, suddenly I was the one not keeping up the love parade. This girl gave him his signed permission slip to pursue, having a girlfriend. And I'm like, thinking that was squashed after I said, yeah, well, let me know what your wife thinks about that. And like, I'm thinking that's kind of the end of it. I'm like moving on, like we're friendly, but I'm not worried about it. And sure as shit, he comes through with like, and at first I would be shocked. I think that's probably one of the first times that happened, but it would happen more than one time, because that's something that I've used, to decline the advances of married men while kind of keeping it lighthearted, at least in my mind. It's funny to me to demand a permission slip from guys that I know are cuffed or, married, or other lame situations where they're out here soliciting whoever. And that's backfired about 3 times where they boomeranged and the wife had ended up giving them permission. So that was one time. And right, ultimately I had to straighten this dude out. I had to tell him, like, well, I'm glad that you made all these executive decisions, but I'm not worried about excuse me, I'm not worried about entertaining some kind of lease out your husband, or put your marriage on pause. Like, good for you if that's what you guys decided, but I'm not pressed to be I'm not pressed to be the determining factor of whether or not you should have married your 16-year-old sweetheart. I'm not trying to be the determining factor that in you, like, deciding that now post marriage. So anyway, he kind of like freaked out a little bit, because he was basically saying, like, and then he told me, like, I left my wife for you. Like, he went there, and I said, dude, I didn't even tell you. We we didn't talk about, we didn't, there wasn't anything like to prompt you to make that executive decision. But you did. So I'm going to counter you with a reality checkmate and tell you that whatever marriage issues that you guys are going through, please see your pastor or priest or whatever, you know, your God. Like y'all, you guys all three need to be in this, or four, I guess, because you have to have a middleman, right? Right, whoever needs to have a powwow, so that y'all can get to the bottom of, right, are you now having an open relationship? But what we're not going to do is have you lily pad from your marriage bed into Sony's bachelorette pad, you know, because you're having a boy interrupted moment. Like I'm here for you as a friend, but I'm definitely not the reason that you trashed your marriage. No matter how you might try to say that I am. So he was like, boo, you know, because I guess in his mind it was like boom, boom, boom. You right, like we're trading on the basketball court, like, you know, wifey, you're out, Sony, you're in, hustle. And I'm like, who? So he was kind of like, you know, low-key not feeling it, and he was shocked and annoyed and all that good stuff. So he had some like not nice words for me. You know, nothing like crazy, but he was just kind of like, thanks a lot. Like, what, you know, like he was shocked that the lily pad plan hadn't worked. And that I was like jamming the whole thing up by not being on board. And he's like, well, you know, I already told her I love you. And I'm like, well, I'm like, well, please, you know, take that back. That's yours. And turn right back around. And again, like, the reason I told y'all this story is because he ended up going home. Shocker, you know. And she was waiting there with open arms, honey. Because right, like he realized, like, I'm salty. I guess I kind of realized, like, maybe he wasn't prepared for the real world, that he was just as plain and ordinary, and that he needed to settle on this ordinary marriage and be grateful for this ordinariness of ordinary and ordin. You know, and again, like, that's not for me, but I love how the reason I tell it kind of with an attitude is because he was ready to have his whole life discovery at your girl's expense. If I hadn't stuck to my guns and just been honest and straightforward about what was going on with Sony. So and that didn't deter him initially. So that's why I tell you, like, if I were some like love thirsty girl, I probably would have really hopped on that. Now it really, again, like, he wasn't a bad guy. He was upstanding. Like, he wanted to have a job and believed in providing and all, you know, everything a woman could want. And he was already married. To what was probably a lovely, you know, church abiding or Bible abiding holy girl. Right, like they were already all matched up, and she was committed to the plan of being boring and doing the God stuff. And I'm not saying they're the same thing, but I'm saying, like, she was cool with their plan to just be mediocre, and he was kind of like having a moment of flying too close to the sun. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to have ambition, but again, he was trying to figure things out at your girl's expense. So really at two women's expense. So I had to send him home with that signed permission slip that he, you know, his wife was cool with us running away together. So let him tell it. So anyway, we have gone way over 30 minutes. I told you guys I'm gonna kind of scale it back, but you can pause it, as I've reiterated dozens of times, and continue watching at your earliest convenience. Hope it's going well for you. What do you think? Do you feel totally differently? Is there a way we can respectfully have dialogue? Is there an experience that, you know, you want to share related to that? Do you think my women are the outlet and men are the plug? analogy was, you know, hella lame, or did it kind of make a little bit of sense to you? Let's talk, you know. And again, like, not all men, not all women, not all, every hashtag that, you know, that's just not you, but for some reason offends you or makes you uncomfortable. But that's another episode, isn't it? Please have a great week. Namyo Harenge Kyo. That didn't go off right when I thought it should. Sorry. And I'm definitely not going to let it go back. Thanks.